Welcome to the deep dive. Ever had that experience where you give advice, maybe some direction, and you think it's spot on, but it just, well, lands with a thud? Or maybe even creates a bit of resistance?
Oh, definitely. Happens all the time.
Well, today we're diving deep into something right at the heart of that. The subtle power of the words we use, especially when we're coaching or leading.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Our insights for this deep dive come from a really fantastic post by Gunther Williams called When Your Coaching Language Reveals Your Inward Mindset.
Really sharp piece.
So our mission today is, essentially, to unpack how some super common phrases, ones we probably all use, can accidentally, reveal what's really driving us.
Right, our underlying motivations.
Exactly. And, more importantly, how maybe tweaking our language can actually transform those interactions, foster real growth, real collaboration.
It's about shifting the dynamic.
Yeah. So you're going to get a quick but thorough download on this critical leadership idea. I think there are some definite aha moments in here.
For sure.
Williams really focuses on a few specific phrases, ones that often signal maybe a deeper issue. You'll recognize these instantly. What you need to do is...
Classic.
Right. Or what you should understand is, and also what you need to know about this situation.
They sound helpful on the surface, don't they?
They do, but that's the interesting part. Why are they actually problematic?
Well, Williams connects them straight to what he calls an inward mindset. Think about it when you're always saying you need to or you should.
Okay.
You're kind of subtly setting yourself up as the one with all the answers. The authority.
Right, like you're the expert in the room, always.
Exactly. And it's not just about being bossy. Sometimes it comes from this belief that we hold the key to their success, and that unintentionally tells the other person, look, your progress depends on following my specific instructions rather than, developing your own judgment, your own capability.
That makes sense. It bypasses their thinking process.
Totally. And this mindset, it can be really tough to shake because as leaders, we often feel this pressure, right, to provide solutions, to be the expert.
Yeah, definitely feel that pressure.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, Williams makes this really crucial point. These phrases, they often mask what he calls a hidden agenda.
Okay, a hidden agenda. What does he mean by that?
He defines the inward mindset as seeing other people primarily as vehicles to achieve our objectives.
Ooh, that's dark.
It is. Rather than seeing them as, people with their own legitimate needs, challenges, and insights. So it's less about the words themselves and more a symptom of this underlying focus on my desired outcome, not their actual development.
Wow. Okay. But that's not always, malicious, right? People genuinely want to help sometimes.
Oh, absolutely not malicious, often. And Williams actually shares this really telling story, an anecdote about a leader he worked with. She was constantly telling her team, okay, what you need to do is this, to boost performance.
Like trying to improve things.
Yeah, exactly. But when they dug a bit deeper into her reasons, her motivations, the sort of uncomfortable truth came out, her urgency, her need to direct everything. It actually came from her own desire to see her people succeed.
Okay, but isn't that good? Wanting your team to succeed.
On the surface, yes. But she admitted it was more about, and this is his phrasing, the thrill of helping and seeing her teams be successful.
Ah, okay, so it was about her feeling of success.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Rather than genuinely developing her team members so they could be self-sufficient and find their own success. So yeah, even well-meaning leaders, people who truly want to help, can fall into this trap, acting for what Williams calls emotional gain.
That's a profound point. It really hits close to home, I think, for a lot of us. How common is that, do you think? Conflating helping with maybe needing to control the outcome.
Yeah.
Why is that line so blurry?
I think it's incredibly common, and it often flies under the radar exactly because the intention feels so positive. We get satisfaction, right? Validation even from solving someone's problem or seeing our advice work out.
That feeling of being useful.
Exactly. But that feeling, that helping impulse, can get tangled up with a need to feel indispensable. Or maybe just a drive for efficiency that, skips the slower, sometimes messier process of real development.
Letting them figure it out takes longer.
It does. And letting go of that control, that immediate result, it's hard. It takes a real shift in perspective.
So that's the crux of it, isn't it? If that's the inward mindset trap, how do we get out? How do we actually help people become more self-sufficient?
Well, Williams proposes moving towards what he calls an outward mindset.
Okay.
And probably not surprisingly, it starts with looking inward, questioning your own motivations, really.
Right. So how do you even start doing that? How do you question motivations you might not even be aware of?
It's a great question. And Williams gives us three really critical self-reflection questions to help figure out if you're really coaching from that outward place.
Okay, what are they?
The first one is, am I coaching to genuinely develop this person, or am I doing it more to manage my own concerns? Maybe my anxiety about their performance or meeting a deadline.
Okay. Develop them or manage me. Got it.
Second, am I positioning myself as the solution holder here, or am I genuinely trying to help them discover their answers?
Expert versus facilitator.
Exactly. And the third one, maybe the toughest one to be really honest about, what hidden needs of mine might be driving this conversation? Is it my need to feel needed, to be right, to avoid conflict?
Wow. Those require some real honesty. They force you to check your own why before you jump in to help.
Totally. It's about pausing before you act.
So, okay, this is where it gets really practical, right?
Yeah.
Williams gives concrete examples of how to actually change the language, replace that directive stuff with curious questions.
Yes, and this is key. It's not about being passive. It's about being way more effective at fostering that real growth.
Okay, give us some examples.
So instead of saying, look, what you need to do is prioritize better,
Right, the directive.
try asking something like, what's making prioritization feel challenging right now?
Ah, okay. Opens it up.
Exactly. Or instead of, you really should delegate more, maybe explore with what happens or what comes up for you when you consider delegating these tasks.
Getting at the underlying issue, maybe fear or uncertainty.
Precisely. And one more, instead of the absolute statement, you need to understand the client's perspective. You
Yeah.
could explore it together. What's your current read on the client's concerns? What are you seeing?
It's much more collaborative. You're exploring with them.
That's the whole point. This shift, Williams says, it might seem subtle, maybe just like rephrasing.
Yeah, it could seem that way.
But he argues it fundamentally changes the relationship. You immediately step away from being the expert with the answers.
Right.
And you become a partner in their development. You're empowering them to think, to own the problem, to discover solutions, not just wait for your next instruction.
Building their capacity, not just putting out fires for them.
Exactly. Building capacity. That's the goal.
And here's the kicker, the sort of ultimate irony Williams points out, which I just find so powerful.
Yeah.
He says, when we actually let go of controlling the outcome through all our supposedly helpful directives, we actually create more ownership, get better results, and build stronger, more capable teams.
It feels counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Totally. Because we often feel like we have to direct, to push, to get things done. But he's saying the opposite is true in the long run.
Exactly. So the post suggests using those specific phrases, you should, almost like a warning light on your dashboard.
Ah, trigger for self-reflection.
Precisely. When you hear yourself saying them, it's a signal. Pause, check your mindset. Am I being inward or outward right now? It's an invitation to actively listen to yourself.
That's a really practical takeaway. Listen for those words in your own speech. Okay, so let's recap this deep dive into Gunther Williams' insights.
Yeah.
The big idea is our language, the words we choose, they're like a direct window into our mindset, inward or outward. And making that shift from just telling people what to do towards asking genuinely curious questions.
Yeah.
It's not just about sounding nicer. It can profoundly change relationships and actually lead to better, more lasting results.
Absolutely. It transforms the interaction.
So to wrap up, here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Something building on all this.
Okay.
What's the real cost? Not just to the people we're trying to help, but maybe to our own growth, our own understanding, when we constantly default to being the solution holder.
Instead of being the curious partner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe just notice today or this week, how often do those phrases you need to or you should pop up in your conversations? And just reflect for a second. What might be driving that pattern in you?